Hi everyone, so at last I have got a couple of hours to do the KitClub technique video for June 2023. Now I thought that this is going to be a little bit of a different technique video. I want to just talk in general a bit about the way that we use our tools, sometimes long forgotten tools, the reason why I use certain tools, etc., etc., and then also just in a leisurely way go through the way that I was thinking when I created these layouts using the papers, etc., that you have in your boxes. Now, first of all, I would like to say thank you to all of you. Just a real profound thank you for your support. You know, this year is our 10th anniversary for the KitClub. I think the end of the year, or maybe early next year, I can't remember. And we've had so many people who have supported us through the journey. And I really would like to say thank you to each and every one of you. Some of you have friends who introduced you, who are no longer members of the KitClub. But especially in times like these when there's insecurity, unsureness about economic things, you know, there's a lot of stuff happening. So thank you for your support. You do help to support a bunch of ladies, our staff, you know, making us able to pay their salaries, etc. So I really want to say a heartfelt thank you to all of you for that. I also know that some of you are going through some difficult things, and I really want to tell you that I literally pray for the KitClub always, for everyone who is a member. I might not know all the names all the time because Valencia deals with that, but as an entity, as a group, I want you to know that you guys are in my prayers. The Lord has been very good to me, very gracious, and I am learning as things go along how important prayer is and corporate prayer life in the body of Christ. So we need to pray for each other. We are exhorted to do that. And I want you to know that I might not know the specifics, but I am praying for everyone. Okay, so that's like just a side note. Okay, so I'm quickly going to run through the layouts again, and then I'm going to start with the box. So this was not the first layout I did. I actually created this one first. And you guys each have at least 2 or maybe 3 of these lady pattern papers. And I use these as backgrounds. Now, why? Well, just because I had lots and they didn't put enough cardstock in the pack for me this month. Because remember, they pack the pack and then they tell me use this. So I order all the stuff. Some of this we've had for a very long time. And it's a very simple layout. Okay, the reason that I decided also not to use any colored cardstock is to show you guys, and I've done this lots of times before, how we can incorporate a very soft or sometimes even a busy pattern paper as a photo mat. Now you will see on this layout I used the stencil that I think you guys got in February or the template, the stitching template, as a stencil to use with the glitter paste. Okay, there we go. I know my nails are in a terrible condition. I just haven't had time to put new polish on. And then I also wanted to use the stencil. Now, don't ask me where I got this color, that strange color. That is just from overblending and using a stencil that had some other color on it. So I literally created the layout first, and I added the stencil work afterwards because I didn't have the stencil ready yet when I did my page. You will also see that I only drew an outline on this photo mat. I don't know if you can see that properly. And I didn't do the others. You can do the others. For me, I just wanted to highlight this. I was thinking when I looked at this again, I could have done it here with all the elements. I could have taken my ruler and my fine liner and I could have outlined everything. I could have done some faux stitching around this circle, but I didn't because I just actually wanted to keep this soft and simple. Now, when you look at the paper pack, and I have been hoarding this for winter 20 for this year or a year, could have been last year as well. But for some reason, and when I actually started, I thought, oh no, I want to use nice photos, because I mean, look at that, that's like a jersey pattern, and it has a jersey pattern, and the wood logs for fire, and chocolate, like, these are all wintry things, another jersey, and I ended up, and I mean, even the cutouts, they're like for winter, and I was truly inspired to do that, but I didn't. I couldn't get myself to use those cutouts, and I wanted to keep it generic. So I'm sorry, you guys can do whatever you want to with your layouts. So this one was very simple, simply cut a few pieces of paper. I did the circle, I will show that to you, and just put it all together. Then I did this layout. I lie, I actually did this one, because I had the leftover of this and the chocolate. Okay, so that's my process normally. Like, I will cut papers, and then for the next layout I will actually use whatever they might be, and then go on to the third one. Now this gingham is from the pack that you guys each got in February. I thought that it kind of matched everything else. You don't have to use that, you can use anything else. Now remember those patterns that I used for the background? Here are the barcode strips. And I simply inked them with the, I think, what is the ink called that you guys get? It's called Agent Blue. So I literally just swiped it directly. I will show that a little bit later. And I wanted to add this as an accent. Okay, but of course you can use cardstock or anything else. I really like this page. I know it's got two big photos, and I was going to mat it all, like, standard matting, and then I thought, no, let's offset it and let's do a little bit of stitching, okay, using our template once again in the corner here. And this is a bracket that I cut and traced and inked myself. So this is the bracket from the Celebrate paper, and this is one that I made myself, and you can hardly see the difference, okay. And then of course I added a bunch of these die cuts that you have in your pack that are actually white, that I inked, and I punched a scalloped border. Now, you know that I love my scallop punches, and I do think that that is a very important tool to have. I used the black shimmer and the midnight black to chalk my edges of everything. The reason I use the midnight black, and it's an older one, is because it dries to a soft chalky finish. And if I can't find this one, I use the Delicata black shimmer, because that also dries to a soft grey. It's not a screaming black in your face. Okay, and although this chocolate is it's like a very dark brown, it's not a pitch black. And here you can see I inked the dye with whatever I inked it with, and it's not like a screaming dark black. Okay, like if you compare this to the black edging here, it's just a little bit softer. And then for the title, this wooden title that you have, I actually used the glitter paste, and then I added a layer of glossy accents over it, which I think gives it a really nice effect. I don't know if you can see it in real life, but it is actually very nice. Okay, then I did this layout. I wanted to do a wreath. And I just love wreaths, okay, so you have to stop me or I'll do like a wreath all the time, and I have to say, oh no, I did that last month or the month before. But I wanted to do something a little bit different. So on the first page, remember I cut, you have this paper, and on the edges you have those two half circles. Okay, so you can use a circle cutter. This circle is just over 8 inches, it's about 8.5. Or you can take a plate and you can trace it. When I started scrapbooking, that's what we used to do. Okay, we didn't stress too much about fancy tools because they were not all available. But I do think a circle cutter is a good investment. So you can see that I simply used this paper as my centerpiece here. I did cut it in half before I started with my wreath. And then I actually did the two pieces, and then I joined them together, because otherwise how are you going to get this into your album? But I lie, that was the bottom. Sorry, I haven't cut this. Oh, I'm a liar now. I thought I did. Okay, but I would recommend that you cut it in half before you do your wreath. Otherwise, like now, I would have a bit of a challenge, although I think I kind of did do it so that I could cut it. But this will go into a frame. So I have 1 or 2 frames, and then every now and again I will just change the frame. So here I used some stencil work, and this was done on one of these additional lady pattern papers that I had, because I didn't have a Technique cardstock, but I realized that we didn't have enough, so I should have asked first before, because I got the pack that had 3 of them. And so you each do get a Technique cardstock, and can you see how beautiful that stencil, it's like its own paper. Okay, so we're going to create pattern paper. We're going to join 2 sections of a sheet of paper to make one element, and then of course just arranging. This was a lot of fun. This took me a long time to do, because I had to chop and change, and then I also added the washi tape. You guys each get 2 rolls of washi tape. I added the butterflies, and then just some of the puffy stickers. So it's a very simple page. Once again, there's not, like, you know me, there's not lots of finicky measuring of papers, but I do think that the overall effect is lovely. So please make this your own. And then the last page I did, it actually just came together so quickly, and I love it. I love how the pink glitter paste is not screaming in my face. It's just a very soft behind the scenes glitter paste, and I wasn't going to use any pink on this page. Believe me, I just wanted to make like a monotone kind of page. And then this little tag that I put in, I looked and I thought, oh, okay, I need to do a little bit of pink, and there was a little bit of pink here, and just in the paper it was like, you have to add pink, and I didn't want to. I put lots of different photo mats here, and I was going, no, 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 and eventually I just gave in and I did the stencil work, and you guys, I think it looks really nice. And then of course I had to do another pink scallop here, and here I only used the blue washi tape, okay, with the little florals, because I know it's a little bit brighter than the rest of the paper. But then I added these little banners that I cut from one of the pieces of paper, I think one of the fussy cuts, and I do think that this actually picks up on the washi tape. And then once again I just made a custom bracket. This wasn't going to be here, but then I thought it's kind of a theme that I've repeated on 2 of the layouts, and I did consider putting it on the first layout as well, but then it was just overkill. So very simple layouts, but with a lot of fun techniques. Okay, so before I go on, I would like to talk about piercing tools. Okay, so a piercing tool is a tool that you use to make a hole in your paper when you want to stitch. Okay, so this is, if you have a stamp mat, please don't use your stamp mat as a piercing surface. I had to throw my other stamp mat away because over the years, unfortunately, in classes, etc., people had used it as a piercing mat. It's not a piercing mat, it is a stamp mat. Okay, so it started disintegrating, and I would get this maroon kind of powder everywhere, and I realized that it was my other stamp mat, so I had to take one of these. Okay, so a piercing mat can be anything. I have a little We Are Memory Keepers one, and I have the In-Stitch one that I have had for forever, and I have pierced this, I don't know, a lot. You can see that the edges are worn out, but it is still in excellent condition. You can also see how I've pierced through on the other side, and then I have the smaller one as well that I haven't used that much. Okay, so I'm going to use this piece. I have 4 of my piercing tools here. Very basic ones. First of all, this was the first one I ever purchased, and it can make a big hole like that, or it's blunt already, but if you are very careful, you can probably make a small hole. Okay, so that one's edge is worn out. Then you've got a tailor's awl. Now the awl you can make really nice little holes with, or you can make big holes. It is very sharp, okay, and it is also not expensive. That's a very good tool to have. Then I have a Tim Holtz piercing tool, which is fantastic. It's got a very sharp edge. This is much thinner, so you can see that the application is more for detailed work. I can also make a decent size hole if I need to. So that's a nice one. Then I also have another Tim Holtz one that he came out with a couple of years ago when he started his series with Tonic. I love this one. It protects kids, you know, so I do like this one. What I don't like is that sometimes it feels to me as if this thing is pushing back, but it's very sharp and it's actually ideal for when you make holes for stitching in paper, because as you can see it makes nice little small holes, and you can also make a big one, so you don't have these ghastly huge holes. Having said that, you have to look at the paper you have. Sometimes you need to make a bigger hole, so these are kind of just standard for this piece, and I did use this template to make the holes. Okay, so I first took a pencil and I used that template there. I would probably next time not do that. So next time I would probably just I would seriously maybe just next time do this. Okay, instead of, I made pencil holes, and you can never get it absolutely perfect. Like it's going to be a little bit off center, but I just wanted to show you that it doesn't really matter. Sorry, now I'll just go on with that tool. Where this one is very blunt already, so I'm struggling to just make small holes, and this one I can make nice small holes with if I focus. Okay, but sorry, I didn't use this one now, but I do find those are very similar. So you can see there the kind of holes. And then your needle is also important. So I have this. Oh, most of my needles are ruined by pushing it into glossy accents or you know, like liquid pools that are clogged up. But I do have 1 or 2 needles, and make sure that it has a sharp point, because if it has a blunt point, you are just going to make those holes bigger. Okay, so that's just a little chat about piercing tools, and I hope that it benefits you guys a little bit to talk about these things. If you don't want me to do this again, if you find that you just want me to jump into the techniques, I can also do that. Okay, so on this piece of paper, I tested the stencil when we first received it, because I thought, oh, this is way too thin, because it was an expensive stencil to have cut, because it's got a lot of detail. So here's just the thing about stencils: you get charged for how long the machine takes to cut the pattern. Okay, and the material is a moot point because it's cheap, but the machine, how long does it take to cut the stencil? And eventually, like certain patterns you can't cut with a thick material because it's a very delicate pattern, and I wanted this pattern. So I know it's just a damask, but it has little holes here, and it has certain of these elements that have been taken out just for like a centerpiece. So I did take a little bit of time with Graham to make sure that this is the damask that I actually wanted for the KitClub. And then when I got this, when I told him it can't be too thick, and he told me the thick material doesn't work well, I said, well, how's this going to work? Because it's like such a thin material. But it's fantastic. Okay, so I am thrilled with this stencil. I'm not saying scrunch it up and wash it, but it is a fantastic stencil. I have put it through the test. I used it for the KitClub without treating it any different than any other stencil, except when I was maybe doing overcoloring blending, and you can see there, it doesn't even lift. Okay, so great stencil. I am very happy about that. Okay, so I need to have that now for you guys. And oh, then just about the brackets. So you'll see that this sheet of paper has a bunch of brackets. So I think one or two, it's actually like this mottled pink. So I used the one as is. I think I just made it a little bit darker. And then the rest of them I just traced and cut out. Now, very interesting, you'll see that I actually have the negative that I used on one of the layouts. It just ended up like that. So this bracket looks very different from those. But it was just something after I had fussy cut that I ended up with. And I was like, oh, how did I get that thing? So if you find one like that, be happy. If you fussy cut the same way I did, I can't remember how I found that one. So you've got two of these Celebrate papers. If you want to use any of these, please do. I don't use them a lot. Because I think they're standard, so we have them in all colors for you guys, the candy range. So sometimes you'll get a different color one because I just use them as fillers, okay, which I think is an ideal purpose. About the cutout sheet, so it didn't matter what I did, I just couldn't get the colors, the same neutral tones or muted tones as the papers. But what I did was I actually just inked them. So after I fussy cut everything, I used that same black, you can see there, and even sometimes it's even over the flower, just to soften it a little bit. And trust me, they match. Okay, so it's a perfect match, although it doesn't look like this when you have the sheet. You'll go, oh, it's too bright. But it's not. Once you start tucking it in, it is actually perfect. And I fussy cut everything. You guys have got a lot more than I had because I had different stuff on this as well, which didn't work. So I took that out for you and ended up just giving you lots of stuff to cut out. Okay, then in your packs, you have the MDF title, and then you have all these silk foam flowers and this little thing that I stamped for everyone. I actually did enjoy that. I don't know why I don't do that more often, but I just did it in front of the TV, and it was a great privilege to do that for you guys. Okay, so I'm going to, I've spoken about the brackets that you need to do, I've spoken about the stitching, and now I'm going to do some stencil work. Actually, I think I need to do this one first, so that I can show you and then let it dry and then do the glossy accents. So I invested in a new little craft sheet. I've wanted one for many years. It's the Tim Holtz replacement sheet for the glass media mat. I have no purpose for the traveling glass media mat. I just use any surface, but this is a great little product. And Priscilla has one, and I've been very jealous because I don't have one. With lockdown, you just couldn't get them. And if I could get them overseas, they were just so expensive, I just couldn't warrant it. So finally, our supplier got them in again, and it's still expensive. I don't know how much it is, but it's about 200 Rand, I think, something like that. But I do think that it is worth it. It's a small size. I have lots of other craft sheets, and I do like them, but I like this a lot. Okay, so, and I've seen people use it, and look, I don't go for opinions that people necessarily give on YouTube and those things. For me, it has to be very practical. Sorry, I'm just looking for my baby wipes. For me, it has to be very practical. It has to be easy to use, easy to clean. You know, storing and organizing, and now with us moving, hopefully I will never have to move again in my life after the house was finished. I don't want that. I want something that works for me, and I think I've been doing this now for a long enough time that if a new tool comes, like pink scissors, it has to be a worthwhile tool. So I say that I'm a retailer, so it's important to me to sell stuff to make a living, but it's also important to me to tell you guys that buy all those things and then find the things that work for you. And there's no use hanging on to 20 different pairs of scissors if you only ever use 1, 2, or 3 of them. Yes, keep one for spares, but the clutter that we create causes a lot of stress. Well, it does for me. So I'm still decluttering. Okay. Anyway, so here's the little sheet, and I'm going to grab my paste. And this is fantastic. Okay, so it is really glitter in like a gel medium. So we have made lots of our own glitter pastes before. You guys know that. We have given you those little things with sharp edges so that you can make your own. Now I want to show you what won't work. It won't work to use a spatula because you can see that you get all this stuff on the outside. Okay, so if you use your finger, it'll be a little bit better. I used a combination of my finger to apply the paste as well as a paintbrush. Now, should I ink my title first? I'm going to show you the difference. If I ink the title first, it will be very pink. Okay, and then you just need to leave this to dry. I think that will be fine to ink it first. You can make it black. Okay, let's do a little experiment here. You can probably make that black. Maybe the pink will show up even differently. But I just did it this way. Okay, so my title was very old by the time I used it. I think I can zoom in a little bit here. I'm now so allergic of moving my, you see, like even if I want to move this, I have to lift it a little bit. Okay, so my board was a lot darker because of age. Because believe it or not, I actually had my title, Embrace the Moment, for probably 5 years. I think she said to me the first time when she cut it for me was 2016. So that's when she did that sample for me, and I have just hoarded it and haven't used it since I got it in 2016. Okay, so I'm just going to take a soft number 3 brush, and I should have filled my jug with water now. Okay, now I probably think that the best way to apply this, you have the most control, is with the paintbrush. And the reason I showed you what I did with my finger is because that is my go-to tool. But sometimes you have to acquiesce and appreciate that your finger is not the best tool for these modern day applications of things. Okay, and I'll show you now what I'm going to do there. So if you are going to apply this over your inked areas, you probably first have to dry this. Okay, otherwise, because it's a water soluble ink, you're going to mix it and get like a blackish color of glitter. So this is what I would recommend that you do, but you can use any method. So I'm not going to do the whole one. I just want to do a part really well. And the glitter dries very quickly. So if you are going to take a long time, I would maybe decant some instead of leaving it open. And just don't put that you've decanted back. Because if you put that back and it's already started to dry, you'll form clumps and lumps and things. And that isn't just not ideal. Okay, so that from the lid is already much thicker, and I should actually scrape that out, than what the paste inside is. Okay, so this is a little bit haphazard, and I'm going to, where did I put my little water tub? Here we go. I'm going to fill it now. Let me just quickly fill it. I'm not far. I'm just getting water. Because also you want to make sure that your brush is cleaned immediately instead of, yes, sleeping with all that makeup. Because sometimes you can't get the makeup off. Okay, so now what you can do, you can take like a Susati stokkie or a toothpick, and you can clean your word for any excess glitter that you deposited there. Okay. So you can see on the black, actually looks really nice. This is not dry yet, but I'm lazy now to go get my heat tool. But I think I just want to do this. And remember now that the brush is going to be very wet when it comes out of the water. So you need to just make sure that you're not watering down your glitter paste. Okay. I actually think that it would be nice. I mean, I'm even looking at that. Oh, this brush is full of water. Okay, I'm even looking at that, and I think that it's actually very, very nice to put it on top of a colored or an inked area. So, anyway, because I do think that you get a very nice contrast once it's dry. Remember that as with everything, oh look at that, you can even make it nice and thin so that it's like a soft covering. So please bear in mind that you only judge things that are wet when they dry. And even if I spread that out, like I like the texture on my word, I do think that it looks nice if you just spread it out. And yeah, because it's a really good glitter. Look at that. Okay, that's just nice. It's always just nice to work with a new product. You will be getting one of these again maybe this year, maybe next year. We already have it, depending on if you guys like it or not. Okay, so there you can see where it's going to, and that is what mine looks like. So you can see the wood coming through. And then with the glossy accents on top. Okay, but I'm going to let this dry first, because if you don't, then the glossy accents will simply mix with the ink, because it's all water soluble products. So you have to bear that in mind. Okay, so I'm just going to clean my brand new craft sheet. I haven't used it. I'm very excited. And this will last for probably this video and me cleaning it properly. I just dropped my towel. I'm lazy to get it up, but I've got another one. Okay. That's it. Okay, nice clean craft sheet. So cleaning is important. I'm learning that as I now have my own house, and cleaning is hard work. Cleaning your own house and making sure that everything is the way it should be. I'm not a good, I like things to be, oh, not cleaning, but doing things properly. I like cleaning, but like quick, you know, not taking too much time or effort or wasting time with, oh, I should shut up now. I'm going to say things that I'm going to regret. Okay, so let's quickly go to do some of these fantastic die cuts. You can ink all of them. You can choose which ones you want to ink once you get to your layout to decide, you know, what color you should make it. I'm not going to dictate to you. I just ink them, and then I just made them work. But I quickly want to show you just a technique or a tip when you have something that is bright. So these flowers are very bright, these pink silk foam flowers. I know you guys, we use them a lot. But I wanted to show you the flower that I used on my layout, and this one, you can clearly see two different shades. Okay, so a very easy method of doing that is simply by taking some gesso, okay, and just, I use my finger, rubbing it onto anything that is too bright for you. We call it like a wash, okay? So yes, sure, of course you can use a brush, I'm sure, and you can do the same thing. I was just worried that I was going to get it too white and light, but you could probably wipe that with a baby wipe. You can wipe that with a baby wipe, look. And then you already have a two-tone. Okay, and it's just softer. And I thought that this would dry very hard, but it actually doesn't. It's actually fine. It's still very soft and pliable. And I want to say that I have decided that I'm going to make baby wipes my friend. I have been doing this, teaching scrapbooking for a long time, 16 years. And I would be like, yes, we need baby wipes. Everybody needs to bring a baby wipe. Except I don't use it. Because I just make a mess. Now I don't want to make a mess. I don't want to stain my floors. I don't want to ruin everything that I have. So, or maybe not right now, but there you can see the difference. Okay, and it'll dry. If it's too light, you can just do another layer, and that is what I did with the silk foam flowers that are a bit softer. Okay, so as far as the inks go that you guys got, you got the pink petunia, you got the aloe vera, and you got Asian blue. Now I tried to keep the KitClub inks together. I think I'm missing one or two here from this container, because like for this I used this one as well, and I think somewhere I might have brought this in, and I at one stage thought I was going to ink everything with espresso truffle. So I did use the yellow one, and I simply applied it directly to the element. Okay, you can use a blending tool or a blending brush, but I wanted good coverage. So, yeah, I just did this. And then you need to leave it to dry, because remember the Versa Magics. I must actually share that link with you guys about the inks, the difference that I did a couple of years ago. That is a very good one to have. And then as far as the barcode strips go, like I showed you, I'm not going to cut up another piece of paper now. But let's quickly see if I have a lady pattern here. So here's the lady pattern with the pink. And what I did was I simply did this. So even if you can see the pattern under the ink, and I think if you did 2 or 3 layers, you could probably cover that up completely. So here I used that. Okay, so I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Here I used that. Okay, so whether or not it has little whatever those are, or whatever that is, like a little scallop, it doesn't matter, because in the end you don't see it. Okay, so there I inked that one. I'm going to do a nice green, what do you call this, little oval. And remember that the colors will change when it dries. Okay, it'll be less intense. And then you can decide if you want to do a second coat. Now, as you can see, I've got lots of ink here. So it's normal, if I'm going to do this, that I might end up with a new color. And you will see here and there on the layout, there are things that look, you'll be like, where did she get that ink from? Okay, and then I did make 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 black ones, because I thought that it was a good contrast. Okay, but that's all you're going to do with your die cuts. That's in the pack. Priscilla did all of these for you. Always a good filler. I think having a die cut machine, a manual, or I mean maybe an electronic one, is a wonderful investment, because you can always find a way to use it and incorporate it on your projects. Okay, so you can add some faux stitching, which I did. You can have faux stitching, and you can put those puffy stickers there. Like brads are not regularly available anymore everywhere, but you can just fill that up. And this little heart, I hope, I found mine. I hope you have yours, but if you don't, just punch a little heart or cut a little heart, and also incorporate that on your layout if you want to. Okay, so let's clean this again. There we go. You can see it's not moving. For me, that is like a really big thing. Okay, this date thing I just inked it green, and I know that it softens the black stamping images a little bit, but you know that's not the end of the world. So if you want to use something else, don't use it. It's just in there for your use. And yeah, there we go. Okay, so next up, I'm going to show you guys how to use your stencil. Okay, so we did 4 things, I think, with the stencil. We did the green stenciling here, just normal background stenciling. Then we did the stenciling here, where we used the paste, okay, on the background. Then we did, we used it 3 times, okay. Then we used it here, where I just did a piece and then I cut it into strips with multicolors to use on my project. And then I also wanted to show you guys, like if you just created a stencil like this and you want to use it as an element. Okay, so I'm going to use that piece. So, trying to think now. Let me do it this way. Let's say on this layout, I now want to add some stencil work. This is exactly what I did because I had already finished my project, okay? So now I wanted to do some stencil work. I'm just going to line this up. I did use my blue tape to secure the stencil, okay? Because I wanted to make sure that it is going to stay put. And if you have a heavy hand, I would recommend that you secure it in more than one place, okay? So I know I'm going to put a photo there, so if I accidentally make a mistake, that's fine. And I'm going to recommend that you use a blending brush. Okay, so line up your stencil, which I've already now moved because it wasn't secured properly. And when I was moving my layout, I know this comes here. There we go. Okay. So line it up, okay, and see I'm moving my paper, this is what I'm doing wrong, I need to secure the paper, okay, righto, so I hope you can see, is this in camera? Yes, I think it is, okay, so tap your blending brush into the ink and then lightly, you simply do that. Okay, and you blend, and I can see where that edge is, so I'm just not going to go over the edge. But if you want to protect it, I have shown that to you guys before, you can actually mask that off. Now look there, I don't like that. Okay, that actually irritates me when I get those yucky marks there. And now what I want to do, I want to just get in there so that I don't have the edge. Okay, so you can just go back, make sure that with the same intensity there, you are just blending. And there we go, absolutely perfect. Chop, chop, chop easy, no challenge. So you can now go straight ahead and use that 12 by 12 technique sheet. I'm simply going to work on this. Okay, so let's pretend that this is a 12 by 12 sheet. Now you need to work all the way down. So you can start at the top. You can see the stencil has a very nice edge, okay? Or you can let it overlap a little bit. Whatever you do, if you're unsure of how to measure perfectly, line it up like this, okay? And you can also always cut off this edge. It doesn't really matter. If that's the easiest for you, do it that way. I'm actually going to do it that way to show you guys how to then incorporate that. Now if you've only got one blending brush, you need to start off with the lightest color first, which I think is the green, okay? And then you're just going to blend a little bit, just go along. And you're not worried about the edges now, because remember, you are going to be cutting this piece of paper and you are going to insert it onto your project. Okay, so then if you want to clean this, take some Colton roll, just get rid of most of the excess ink, and then go to your second color, which would probably be the pink here, the second lightest. And you are just going to blend. Now don't cover all your green, just over blend, because remember we want to incorporate all the colors of our project into this. Okay, so you can just blend wherever you think you need a little bit more pink, and then clean this, and then go over to the turquoise. And you can see the stencil is so pliable. So I think that's why it probably works better than some of those hard stencils, because it goes with the brush. Okay, so it's not resisting the brush. I did try with my blending foam, and I really found that this worked better for me. Okay, get some more blue in there. Okay, and now for the great reveal. Look at that. Okay, isn't that beautiful? So you can then just move your piece of paper. Remember that the stencil just continues the pattern. I'm lining it up as best as I can. Remember that it's not a perfect science. Okay, lining that up. I'm busy with the blue, so I can just as well go on with the blue because all the colors are mottled now. And then you can clean a little bit. You can now go back to the green, get a little bit of green there, and you'll get all these wonderful variations. And guys, if you don't like this, don't do it. You know, do one color and then stop, clean your brush, and then go over to the next one. It really does not matter. Okay, remember that it's your project. You need to be happy with it, and you need to look at that. But I think it's beautiful. So when I finished that, I looked at that and I thought it looks a little dull to me. Okay, I feel that I need some of this dark, elements. And then what I did, because you can see that the pinks are just splats here, whereas here I used it through the stencil as well. Now to get the pink, I had to add pink splats. Okay, you don't have to do that. If you're going to use all three colors, you can just add the dark splats. Okay, and then as we always do, to do a splat, you can use, there's my black shimmer, and here I've got my midnight black, and of course you are going to use, really wet it well, and take your splatter brush, okay, and then just add some splats. Now don't stress and think you are now killing your design, because remember this actually draws into the paper and it's going to dry very soft. You can see there it's already drying very, very softly. Okay, so that's what I did, and then I simply cut it down to size, whatever size you need. I made a mistake here and I needed to fill it. Okay, so I think my piece here is about 2.5 inches, so this I think is 3 inches, and you can just cut it down in the leftover strip I put in there. And that's it for these techniques, and I'm going to be back now and I'm going to show you the glitter paste. I just quickly need to change the way that I am sitting here at the table and get onto my feet. Okie dokie, I'm back. So next up I'm going to show you how to do the glitter stencil work through the stitching template, okay, for this layout, and then through the stencil for this project. Okay, I'm going to zoom out completely. I don't need the craft sheet anymore, and I can put those away, and I can put that away and that away, and we'll talk about the scissors now. Put that away. I need this, and I need this one, and I need the stencil. Okay, there we go. Okay, so first of all I want to show you, if you want to do the stencil work on a patterned paper, you need to leave it to dry really, really, really well. Okay, I mean, I know you guys know how to do this, so I'm not going to over show you, but I'm actually going to use this piece, which is still wet on that side, and I just want to actually dab that so that I don't spread it. But can you see how pretty that is once those splats dry? Okay. Well, I think it's pretty. Okay. So clean that. I've got a new cutting mat as well. It's actually very hard for me to get used to new stuff because I'm so used to old stuff, the way that it works or the way that it feels, that sometimes, even though something is new, sometimes it's not. Anyway, doesn't work the easiest in the beginning. Okay, so I would recommend that if it's a small piece you're working on, secure the paper. Okay, and obviously if it's a 12 by 12 and the stencil is smaller, you don't have to do that. Okay, but if you're going to be stenciling on your pattern paper, remember that this stencil has a definite edge. So you can see there, I put that there probably because I sadly didn't concentrate and I might have a definite edge there. I don't know, I can't actually remember, but I added that for a purpose. Now, if that's not the problem, then you don't have to worry about that. I would still just try to align it, because even a stencil like this has a design. Okay, so you want to make sure that you get the lines. And then I'm going to talk about spatulas quickly. There are lots of different spatulas on the market. These two are my favorites because they've got a little bit of flexibility. I think that those hard big ones are good for certain things, but for me, I really like these two. So to do this, take a little bit, not too much, and just spread it. If you want to get a good pattern, you need to make sure that you fill all the gaps. Oh, okay, so of course on that side, but here you have to remember that it also has an edge, right? So this is just filling it on your patterned paper. So it's just a background and it's just an element to give a little bit of interest to the page. And then look at that. Aspire more. I mean, that is really, really, really pretty, I think. Okay. And then you need to leave it to dry. I'm going to do another little piece over here. And I'm going to just put that in water, because this stuff really doesn't come off if it's, and this one. You just take your time. You really do not have to rush this. And if you're in a class, I used to do this many times over the years, you tell the people just relax. And then some people are very fast, which is okay, but it just, you know, you don't have to be so fast with everything. I'm learning that as life goes on. So it looks the same to me. I think it's both beautiful and, you know, obviously the thickness of the coverage depends on how much of the paste you put on and how thinly you scrape it all off. I don't think that it's neither here nor there. For this, it's just an effect. So it doesn't really matter if you have thick glitter or if you have it very thin. Now I'm just going to fill my little tub here with water and a little bit of soap, just normal dishwashing liquid or whatever you have. I've just got some white soap here, and I just want to soak this because otherwise the glitter, trust me, the glitter is probably not going to come off in any case. But you just want to take a precaution. And then I'm going to show you how to clean your blending brushes now with that same water, with your tool that you got for free. Okay, now when we do this, I found that I did this first before I had that other stencil. And to be honest with you, I prefer the thin stencil because this is much thicker. And yeah, for some reason, I do think that I get a better result with the thin stencil. But I wanted to use this for something other than just a stitching template. And I know we've used it since you received it a couple of for other things as well. But I wanted to see what it would look like if I used it with my glitter paste. So first of all, you need to follow the line very carefully, because remember, or you need to tape and close this. You also, I made the mistake, cannot leave this onto the paper. You need to lift it, because I left this being lazy. I did it one night just as a test before I did the KitClub. Oh, and the next morning I lifted it, and yeah, brought all my paper with me, because obviously some of it goes underneath, so you do not want to do that. But it's just another fun way of using your stencil or your templates or your tools for that matter. Okay, but make sure, because I didn't, that you actually fill all these little holes. Okay, because by the time I lifted it the next morning, I saw that I actually didn't fill all the holes, and then it actually didn't look nice, so I had to go back and redo it. So I'm doing it much better here than I did on my layout. So there I just went over, and there you can see a beautiful, beautiful pattern using the stitching template. Also, you will notice that because, and I say this always, paper is not meant to get wet or a heat tool, this will wobble. But mine straightened out. The lady pattern paper is a very low grammage, whereas the 13 Arts that you guys used is a high grammage. Now, you can see that this flattened out 100%. Okay, so I don't know what the lady pattern's going to do from experience. I have noticed sometimes it flattens and dries out perfectly, and other times it actually doesn't. So you will just have to play it by ear. Sorry, I just have to put that in the water because my little tub is now full of stencil here. And I actually want to show you how to clean your brush. So I gave you guys each one of these cleaners. They are wonderful. You literally put your brush on top of it and you scrub. Okay, and trust me, the ink will come out. And there's only one test for this, and that is if I would do this and there's still ink coming off, it's not clean. So one of my brushes that I cleaned, quote unquote, when I started blending again, oh, it was not clean, you know. So really, that should be clean, but if you're going to take a little bit of water and it's pink or green or whatever, that is not clean. Okay, so then you need to rinse this with clean water, and I'm actually going to do something with the black ink here just to show you what I mean by, I'm just going to do that. Don't worry, this is just a test to get the ink into the brush. I have to get a really dirty brush. Polishing it now, really pushing the ink in here. Oh, that could actually look very nice, don't you think? That's actually a nice effect. Okay, so let's go back to this. There we go. You can see that is not clean. Okay, you can see that is not clean. Okay, you can dry it and go back to see. That is almost clean, but I can still see the coloration. Okay, so especially with dark colors, make sure that it is clean. I really would like to reiterate that, because if I'm going to be using this clean brush, remember just to dunk that into clean water and actually do the same thing. this is not dry, but you can see that that is clean. Okay, unfortunately I cleaned all my brushes, so I don't have a dirty one here to show you what will happen, because I was so excited when I got that little thing that I just cleaned everything. Okay, so that's cleaning your blending brush. And then, don't think it's dry. Please go put it in the sun. It actually takes a long time to dry because the bristles are so condensed and thick and close to each other that like sometimes it takes an hour or two, maybe longer if it's in the sun. Okay, but just make sure that you dry it really, really, really well. Want to see what I'm missing? I've done the splats. Oh, the little banners. So if you're going to cut banners, people always ask me. I just cut a banner. So for me, so here, oh, see here, here's that piece that I found somewhere when I was fussy cutting. There's the washi tape. I'll show you now how to use that. So if I want to make a banner from any piece, I cut lots of banners, but I didn't use them all. I normally would use my little trimmer, or your big trimmer, doesn't matter, and just cut them to size. Now I think a good size for a little flag is a 1 inch. Okay, and I just do this. Not that I think I have a perfect eye, but I just guesstimate. So that is not a bad guesstimate. So that's pretty much in the center. And then of course you can use this one as a template. So if you don't want to do, because I don't like folding the paper. Like, to me it feels it's going to have like a wobble. And then I just added some faux stitching to that. I did fussy cut some of the elements, but I didn't use them. I didn't use any of the hearts. Let's see what I have left here. So you have a lot of leftovers, a lot. Oh, then washi tape. Okay, let me show you what can I do with washi tape here. You can make with washi tape. I can, for instance, make my own custom banner. Okay, and I can then have a little gingham banner on my project, because washi tape is just like really thin tape, paper tape, and so look at that, isn't that cute? Okay, so there's your own little washi tape banner. I mean, that's not really perfectly done, but it's quite a strong product. So you know, you would have to pull it really hard like that to ruin it. And, you know, you could do lots of interesting things with it. Now that I'm on this little thing, I want to actually finish it. So there's an all washi tape banner. I think that's very cute. And you can put like a little foam puffy sticker there, or whatever you want to do, you guys. It's not a, it's a lovely, lovely, lovely product which is underutilized. You will be getting lots more washi tape this year, different colors, brights, etc., etc. But I don't use washi tape enough. So actually I am very guilty there, because I should probably just incorporate it more in my work. Okay. So I want to show you scallops. I actually lost my scallop border punch in the move, so I had to buy another one from the Scrapbook Studio Market. It's like, okay, no mercy for me. This dries very quickly, but for all the moisture to evaporate, I would leave it a little bit. And you can always put this piece, once it's completely dry, under something heavy. And then, of course, hopefully, it'll all flatten out. Okay, so I want to see if I have... Oh, let's do something exciting. Okay. So let's say, for instance, I only have this piece of paper left, right? And I now want to do a border scallop. I'm just going to use my craft knife here, not take out the trimmer. So I would first probably cut it down to size. So this is just about 1/2 inch. If you're using a small punch, 1/2 inch is fine, I think. And then I would color it first. So because these are now 2 colors, but since you know how to color things, you could just do this. Okay, and I know that you've got the black on that side, and I'm going to show you now. You could do this with your brackets, which is what I did. Okay, so you've got that, and you've got this blue, which you could incorporate. Okay, we're going to create a color now, so don't get a fright. You could do that, and then you can take your black. Oh, that's a bit dark. Okay, didn't mean to do that, but that's also okay. Do that, and that, and then I can take my baby wipe and I can wipe it, because a baby wipe is your friend, Karina. So I'm wiping it with my baby wipe. Okay, so you can see where we're going to. We're going to like a single color that will look to the eye, once you look at it, as if it was meant to be that way. And then remember what I showed you with the gesso. Okay, so just to give it a little bit of a, you can dry brush a little bit of gesso, just here and there, softly, just here and there, softly. And remember what I said, do not judge this until it is completely dry and done. We are still going to be punching a scallop border from this. So there we go. I think that that is pretty much as uniform as I would like to get now. Okay, so I think that that is a pretty good strip. That now looks like a unit to me, like one strip. I know that this was the lighter side. So of course, if you know something is pink, you know, it's very hard when someone tells you it's like a light shade of purple or anything like that. But I think that that is a good strip. Now, remember that you can only punch things that are completely dry. So what do I have to do with this? I can immediately start punching it, or I need to go to where my heat tool is. And it's actually still not unpacked, so just give me 1 second and I will blast it up here. Okay, I'm going to dry it quickly. Okay, there we go. I think this is dry enough. Okay, and now I'm going to punch my scallop. Now, how will I know if this was big enough? Once I do that. Okay, so 1/2 inch for this will give you a very thin scallop. Okay, but that's fine because it's just an edge. And I'm quickly going to punch this. And then just show you if I had to use this on my layout. Sorry, I'm focusing on this. Okay, there's one more. I'm just going to break it off there. Okay, so if I had to incorporate this on one of my projects, like let's say I wanted to put that here. Okay, small little dainty, I think you probably see it better here. Look at that. I mean, does that look to you as if it was two different colors? I don't think so. I know that it's small and I know that it's very delicate, but even if I used this side, okay, I could be biased, you know, but I mean, look at that. That's just a custom element we just made from a scrap piece of paper that matches your project perfectly. So once again, inks, stencils, pastes, rule, you guys. You can just, it's never ending. Like if I look at God's creation, every day is a new day, and every morning his mercies are new, and it's beautiful. And with what he's given us, we can make the most wonderful noise with our lives to glorify him. You know, we have to enjoy the good things that the Lord has given us. We have to accept the bad, because the Lord gives both. And we have to glorify him in the good and especially in the bad times. Because if Christ Jesus died on a cross, and if he could look forward to the glory that was waiting for him, how on earth can we not accept any suffering? So here are the layouts once again. And I hope I didn't miss anything. I'm quickly going to walk through them again. Oh, yes, you'll see some goldish ones here. So you guys all got an all-purpose ink, I think last year, like a gold one. But you can use any colors to do your tags. I just did, because you see this foil, okay? So I just felt that the gold was kind of nice. Oh, and I forgot. Remember your foam flowers? I actually forgot to show you. I glittered them. Where's my sample? I don't know what I did with my sample flower, but I actually added some glitter to some of my silk flowers. Look at that. And I did do it after I had added the paste, so, or the gesso. So look, and then remember, same rule applies. Don't judge it until it is dry, because actually the glitter does show up. Okay, so that's what I did. I added some of the puffy stickers to the centers. I added some of the puffy little, what do you call these things, little elements and words as titles. I used the butterflies. You can use the butterflies any way you want to. There's the stitching that I showed you. There's those strips once again, and I'm repeating myself. There's my chocolate border punch. Some pearls and blings, my custom bracket with the gesso and the inks. And then on this layout, created my own title banner there, but I did call the page Happy, but that was my main feature there. So you guys, thank you once again for your patience, and I hope you'll enjoy this KitClub release. And thank you, by the way, for sharing your amazing layouts with us. It's always such a pleasure and a treat when we receive a WhatsApp or an email showing what you guys do with the kits. Really, like sometimes I go, wow, I never would have thought about that. So, oh yes, so this is almost dry. Still some wet spots here and there, and then I just used glossy accents. Okay, one, but this must be dry. Your glitter must be dry, and then you can coat it with glossy accents. And I would recommend that you do this not on your project, and make sure that it's level, completely level. Otherwise, the glossy accent will run down and make like a big pool, but then you can just use your trusty Susati skewer or your toothpick to remove that. And just remember to clean glossy accents before you put that lid on. Can you hear that? That's open. Okay, so before you put the lid on, make sure that you can hear it breathe. And that's it. Goodbye. Lord bless you.